Opening statement, wow. What a win. What a win Saturday night in Hattiesburg. And I couldn't be more proud of this team, not just because of what they did on the field, but everything they had to overcome to get there. And that's what makes this win such an incredible accomplishment by this group of young men. To have the adversity that they had, we talked a lot in the early part of the week that Southern Miss had already played at 2.5 weeks. We hadn't got on the field yet, had to cancel the Baylor game, had the hurricane. Again, with no practice for 2 weeks, guys coming back spotty during the week, having limited practice time and preparation time to go play the game. I told the staff that 20 years from now, they're going to be in coaching and they're going to have a situation that's going to seem very dire and very uphill. And they're going to say, guys, this was nothing. In 2020, let me tell you about what we had with this football team. Then we had to go play in Hattiesburg. I made the comment beforehand we were going to learn a lot about our football team, and I couldn't be more proud of what we learned about them. We learned that we're not very fundamentally sound right now, that we got a long way to go. We don't tackle well enough as a defense. We learned a lot of fundamental things. But the things that make me so proud were the way that they hung together, the way that they faced adversity, down 17 points late in the third quarter. Nobody flinched. Nobody panicked. Nobody hit the panic button. They supported each other. The defensive huddles, you look around, the offensive guys are in it. At the end of the game, I'm on the phone with Coach Blackwell saying, look, I had to call timeout. I wanted to preserve the 10-second runoff if there was a penalty. So they're going to get the ball with time back. So you need to get prepared for the last play, the Hail Mary, get the defense together. And he said, Coach, I don't know where they are. They're all in the offensive huddle. They're all out on the field with the offense right now. It was encouraging to see the way these guys really came together, didn't panic. We were down 17 points. We got in the offensive huddle, and one of the offensive players said, hey, guys, we just take this down and punch it in. We're only down 10 in the fourth quarter. I was just really proud of the way they handled it, the leadership, the maturity that this team showed, and there were some great individual efforts I know we'll talk about, but some just incredible individual efforts. So just really proud of this football team, really proud of the way they stood up, really proud of the way they overcame adversity. They didn't let there wasn't a lot of talk about who wasn't there. There was a lot of talk about who was there and the trust that they had in a guy like Tyler Grubbs and Cedric Woods and Jacob Barnes being the kicker. There was a lot of confidence in each other. And that was the team we were taking. We didn't have add-ins. We didn't have, obviously with some of the rules and regulations and trying to be so safe with our social responsibilities with COVID, we couldn't add anybody, but we took the team we did and they went and found a way to get it done. So very, very proud of our football team and our players for the leadership and the way they came together to get that win. But a great team win. And in my coaching career, probably one of my more rewarding victories to watch that group of young men, knowing what they had up against them and the lack of preparation time that they had, the lack of conditioning time, the lack of prep time, practice time, and to see what they did on the road, awesome feeling.
Who's got a question for Skip? All right, Corey.
Yeah, good to see you. Skip, how I don't know how close may be the right way to phrase this question because I know things are so different this year. But I know Tyler Grubbs wasn't listed on the 2 deep last week on Tuesday. How close was he to not even traveling with you guys last week?
2 weeks ago, he was the fourth team linebacker. 2 weeks ago, he was the fourth team Mike linebacker. And through COVID, contact, awaiting an NCAA waiver on a transfer in Cody Fulp, and with none of those players able to play, he was promoted to the starting Mike. I thought he was unbelievable, truly. 16 tackles. He had one missed tackle with 16 tackles, a pretty good batting average when you talk about the way he played. He is old school. He reminds me a lot of a linebacker that I knew in college named Michael Stonebreaker, who was from New Orleans. Just a throwback, an old-time football player. He's tough. He's not flashy. He doesn't have tape all over his body, messages up his sleeve, streamers coming out the back of his pants. Socks have to be different. Give him a pair of old school spot built spikes, a pair of shoulder pads, and a helmet, and he'll go play tackle in the parking lot. I mean, just old school throwback football player. He doesn't celebrate. He makes a tackle. He doesn't show a lot of emotion. But I thought the performance that he put in, I think it was deserving to be the National Defensive Freshman of the Week. I think what he did in that game was truly remarkable. I don't think anybody could tell you I saw it coming. I don't think anybody could tell you, oh, yeah, we knew he was going to be all that. You don't know, and that's why I made the comment. I'm not sure what to expect of this football team. I don't know, is he going to get big-eyed? Is he going to miss 15 tackles? We didn't have a lot of information to go on, but I certainly think that he stood up and showed that that moment wasn't too big for him, and really proud of the way that he handled it and what he was able to do. And I think he earned a lot of respect for guys in that locker room for the job that he did on that football field Saturday.
Go ahead, Emma Kate.
Hey, Coach. This offseason, we've talked a lot about how young this team is and how you really don't know how they're going to perform until that first snap. So obviously the first drive went well, but kind of what did you learn about your team other than that they can fight back and not give up? Were you pleasantly surprised by how a young team performed, or kind of know where you need to go from here?
Well, I look at Cedric Woods. I think he had maybe one of the better defensive back plays of the game over on their sideline early in the game when they tried to take a shot down the sideline, flipped his head around, saw the ball, batted it away, played it like he was a fifth-year senior. I mean, technique, coverage, talent, everything was perfect. But then he comes on a corner fire a little bit later in the game, and he's got the running back dead to rights, and you look at Coach Blackwell makes the perfect call into what they were doing. Should be a 4-yard loss. He kind of freezes his feet, and the guy bounces the ball, and it'll be a good learning experience for him, and kind of gave up a big play. So it wasn't as consistent as I wanted it to be, but what I learned is these young guys have a chance to be really good. And when you talk about youth, you talk about Cedric Woods is a true freshman. Broderick Calhoun went in as a redshirt sophomore, did a really nice job. B.J. Williamson as a sophomore, I thought played really well. Alan Walker, even though Tyler Grubbs is getting all the accolades as a true freshman for doing what he did, I thought Alan Walker played a really solid football game as a redshirt freshman. You look at Deshaun Hall as a true sophomore. He was the one with the interception. Keevy Rose as a redshirt freshman played a prominent role as a nose guard up inside. Michael Clark played a huge role for us as a redshirt freshman. I mean, when you look at the number, the freshmen had more tackles in this game than any other class. The freshmen had more tackles than the sophomores, the juniors, or the seniors. I just think the youth of this team and the way they stood up, the moment wasn't too big. What they've been doing on the practice fields, they went out there and they did in the game, and I was just really, really proud of them. I think it's a special group. I think it's a very mature group. They handle their business. It's a great group academically. When you look at them in the classroom, and that responsibility carries over on the field with the way they handle themselves in a professional manner and image on the field. So I think the future is really bright, not just on defense, but you could go through the same thing on offense, even though we have much more experience over there. But I think a lot of the younger players that have the opportunity to step up on defense were impressive.
Go ahead, Ben.
How does a performance like Tyler Grubbs had this year? I know it's a different type of year where a number of guys may get opportunities, but when you look at how he played in this game, how does that really help him out, so to speak, going forward throughout the year?
Well, I can tell you that it gives me a lot more confidence in him going into the game. I will feel a whole lot differently when he's out there now than I did Saturday. I think, with Mackie Carabin coming back from an injury, with Trey Baldwin coming back, Levi Bell, one of the junior college linebackers, coming back. I mean, he's put himself in the mix. He not only played well for a freshman, he played well. I mean, he has put himself into the conversation, and we always talk about it. I mean, when you get that opportunity, you got to be prepared for it. And here's a guy that could have sat back and said, "Well, I'm a freshman. I hope I can run down on a kickoff sometime this year. I'm fourth string. I'm way back here on the depth chart." But you know what? He paid attention to meetings. He makes the most of practice every day. And when he got his opportunity, he made the most of it. And he's going to be pretty hard to knock out of that box. I will tell you that he has definitely earned himself playing time. And I think we're going to see a lot of Tyler Grubbs for the next 4 years. He's not going right back to the back of the line. I think he's earned the right to be in the conversation on where he belongs right now, and was really proud of him. And I think that the lack of scrimmage time and practice time that we had in fall camp, maybe he wasn't able to shine the way that he's capable of, like he certainly did on Saturday night in Hattiesburg.
Kane, did you have a question?
I do. Hey, Skip. You talked about all the freshmen that you played on Saturday. Well, essentially you had another freshman out there in Eric Kinzer, just because he hasn't played football since the Frisco Bowl in 2017. Just talk about what it was like for you to see number 47 back out on the field after missing the last 2 seasons due to injury, and then how emotional you were when he got that big sack for you late in the fourth quarter.
Eric Kinzer he played as a true freshman. He played as a true sophomore. And the last time that he left the field in that Frisco Bowl over in Dallas, he had injuries to his feet, to both his feet. And he left that field kind of being carried off with an elbow that required elbow surgery in the off season. He had a surgery on each foot, so he had 2 foot surgeries. He had an elbow surgery. He was redshirted the next year, wasn't able to play last year. And so for him not to be out there for 2 years, I know was really frustrating for him. We had a lot of conversations during the off seasons about what he was going through. I think he even questioned whether he was going to continue playing football, and knowing some of the battles that he's been going through mentally with whether to play or not play, to come back this year to see the way that he fits into David Blackwell's defense, for him to step up. I thought he played a great game. He's a really good football player. We thought he was going to be really good as a freshman and sophomore, and it's really great to not only see him get back out there on the field, but to see him to have success. And that sack was huge. I mean, it forced them into a field goal, took them away from going for it on a 4th down opportunity, but having to kick, I thought, which one of the difference in the game, the difference in them potentially scoring a touchdown or kicking a field goal. And so just to see the joy and the emotion in him and knowing what he went through the last 2 years to get back out onto the field was incredibly rewarding. But I think he's a huge success story, and nobody sees the 2 years of frustration that Eric has been through with all the surgeries and the setbacks and the questioning, is this really worth it? And then to see him out there on the field, it's just, like I said, really rewarding as a coach to see what he's been through for the last 2 years and how frustrated he was to see him kind of really get the accolades that he truly deserves with the hard work that he's put into the last 2 years behind the scenes before he had the opportunity to step on that national television stage and do what he did.
Bo?
Okay, Coach. On that last touchdown play, as you were first, how quick did you know it was a touchdown? And then what was going through your mind while you waited for the officials to make it official, to make the call?
I had a really bad view. I've always said the sideline is the worst seat in the house, and it was such a bang play. And Luke started to scramble to his left. My eyes went down the field. I saw Griffin going across the back of the end zone. I saw the backside linebacker starting to run forward towards Luke. The ball went up, and I saw Griffin go up and catch it, but Luke kind of had to float it. So it was, as soon as he caught it, the 2 guys hit him. I couldn't tell whether his foot was down. The one thing I saw was Smoke Harris was right in front of the play, And when the official said no, he immediately started putting to the foot and went over to make his case with the official. And I was thinking, boy, I hope Smoke's right. I hope he had a better view than I did. The first view that put on the Jumbotron, you couldn't see his feet. I really had no idea, was talking in the box, was really kind of hoping he was in, but I did not have a lot of hope that he was going to be in. And when I knew was when they showed a view on the Jumbotron, the field angle they showed, and you could clearly see not only his foot was in, his toe was down, but his heel was that far from the back line, and it was indisputable evidence. And that's when I knew it was good. It was heaven, how fortunate we were to have that angle. I mean, earlier in the game, there was a 4th down that I was right on the sideline, that they ran a quarterback sneak, that I didn't feel like Jack Abraham's head even got to the line of scrimmage, let alone over for a 1st down. I immediately called a timeout. I wanted it reviewed, and there wasn't a camera angle that was decisive that showed what I saw. And so it couldn't be overturned. And so my thought when this was going on was, I just hope there is a camera angle that picks this up that's going to show his foot in bounds. Fortunately, I mean, the one that clearly showed that was the one that was on the ground, and we were really fortunate because there was somebody's head in the way that if he was 6 inches to the right, we wouldn't have got that camera angle. So it's like my father told me. He said, well, Skip, in your opening game, he said, you coached well enough to be 0-1. But your mother looking down from heaven over you, she was 1-0 today because she gave you that camera angle you needed to win the game. And so I just feel like we were blessed to be able to have that camera angle to show. And what an unbelievable play by Griffin Hebert to get his foot down.
Could you tell much of a difference with only 9,000 people, fans in the stadium? I know you're kind of focused on what's going on in the field and everything, but could you tell a considerable difference? I typically on game day, I don't ever see, hear you're so focused on what's going on in between the lines. But they were loud. It certainly wasn't like, wow, this is a weak crowd. Now I'm not looking at them, but they were heard. I thought they were visible. I mean, they were loud. They definitely had an impact on the team, on the emotion, on the atmosphere of the football game. How it looked, I don't know because I never really look up, but there were certainly some times where their noise level, they were loud enough to make a difference in that game. And it was, like I said, it was just great to be out there and play. I have spent the week with a spreadsheet on depth chart, and this wasn't who was going to be out. This was a game where we didn't know who was going to be in, because we had to cancel the Baylor game with almost 50 players out through testing, contact tracing, and injury, that they were being added as the week went on. On Tuesday, we couldn't practice in pads. We had a bunch of positions that we weren't too deep. We couldn't have rolled 2 groups. And so we went out in shorts on Tuesday. And then we got a couple guys back on Tuesday, and you're waiting on EKGs, echocardiograms, blood work. Then they have to go through their 3-day acclimatization to get back into being able to play. I mean, it was just the medical team, the doctors, the training staff that we have, Matt Martin and his staff, and getting the logistics set up for 35 guys to go through all of that testing that needed to be done for us to be able to have a full team to play on Saturday was incredible. What they pulled off to do that, because truly on Tuesday, I considered saying that we weren't going to be able to play on Tuesday with where we were. And I just think incredible effort by so many people here in this program to be able to pull this off. You started adding guys on Tuesday, started adding guys Wednesday morning. Depth chart started to say, you know what, we might be able to pull this off. Went out to practice on Thursday in pads, which is normally wearing shorts on that day. Went out in pads so the guys that were just coming out could practice. And as the week went on, I got on the bus Friday morning, sat out on the bus to go to Hattiesburg, and truly it was like, are you kidding me? This is actually going to happen. We're going to play. No idea what the product's going to look like, no idea what to expect, but we're actually going to do this, which at the beginning of the week I would have told you 90% we're going to struggle playing. And not only did they go play, but what they overcame to go win was just rewarding as a coach.
Questions? Corey?
And to kind of piggyback off of that, obviously the optics will look much different on Saturday at home with only 7,000 fans in the seats. What, as a football team, what are you guys expecting with the first home game and what the experience will be like?
Well, expecting to have the opportunity to play at home. I mean, Dorothy said it, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. I mean, that's kind of where we are. When you look at our record at the Joe, we have had a lot of success here. I think it's a couple reasons. One's I think it's the comfort of playing at home, being in your home locker room, having the comforts of a routine of what you do at home, I think goes a long way. Having the opportunity for a lot of family and friends with so many of our players within about a 4-hour region of Ruston, so many family and friends having the opportunity to be here. Our crowd, which has been great, our student body, which has been great. Now, I know that's going to be limited a little bit. I don't know what the numbers were at Southern Miss. I don't know what their capacity was. But certainly they made some noise and their presence was felt in that football game. And I am hopeful that here, having the chance to play at home, the presence of the people that are there, they're going to be loud, they're going to be proud. But for our football team, I think it's the comfort of having the opportunity to play in front of family and friends and having the opportunity to play at Joe IA. I think it's going to be exciting for us, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity to open the season at home.
Okay, Coach, tell us about the game coming up, Houston Baptist, and what kind of challenges you expect to face.
Well, I'm looking forward to a little bit of normalcy this week. I don't know. Maybe for this team that will be a bad thing, but I know for a coach that's what you're trying to create is a little bit of a structure in your program. We're back on track. Our normal week where we met and put the film to bed on Sunday, 24 hours, enjoy the victory. Monday became looking at film and let's get ready for Houston Baptist. A lot of players came in, watched film on their own. We know we've got a heck of a challenge. They lost to Texas Tech 35-33. Had their opportunities in that game. They've got a really dynamic offense. They've got a great quarterback. He threw for 500 yards against North Texas in their season opener loss. He threw for 600 yards against Texas Tech the next week. He's thrown for 1,100 yards in 2 games. They are very dynamic and explosive. Their quarterback, their wide receivers, it becomes an air raid. They're throwing the ball 70 times a game. It's going to be an incredible challenge for our secondary, which is very young, who's definitely going to be tested. Last weekend with Jack Abraham, this week with, again, another probably one of the more explosive offenses in the entire country right now, whether you talk about FCS or FBS. Offensively, they're a team that makes you score. They make you score a lot of points on offense because you know they're going to score on defense. You're not going to win this game 17-10. They're really good. Their defensive front is very physical. They're a 4-down front. I think their linebackers are very active and really good. And I really like their safeties, how they break on the ball and what they do downhill. They're a group that if you have weaknesses, they can expose you. You're going to have to execute to be able to put points up. But we're going to have to score a lot of points to try and help protect our defense. This is, we say every week that you're trying to win a football game. Our job is to score one more point than they do. Some games you're going to have to win 10-9, like the bowl game last year where it was 7-0 till late in the fourth quarter. Some games you may have to win 35-33 like Texas Tech did last week against Houston Baptist. So it's a game that we definitely have a challenge. We've got to come back, and this game's got to be about us. Game has to be about improving. This game has to be not that we won our first game, because, as I said, as proud as I was of the first game success that this team, what they did, I watch film and you cringe on where we are fundamentally and execution-wise, and all the things that we can do so much better to be able to go out and execute on the field. And that's where our real emphasis has to be, is when we walk out on the practice field Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, where we got to get better as a football team if we want to achieve any of the goals that we have on our board right now. If we want to achieve those goals, we got to get better and we got to improve, and that's what this is going to be about. Is this week is about our improvement, and then Saturday it's going to be about going and playing the game and trying to score one more point than they do.
All right, time for one, maybe two more questions. Go ahead, Corey.
Skip, upon you guys breaking down the film from the Southern Miss game, how does the two quarterbacks stack up now that you've had an opportunity to sort of digest that?
I still stand by what I said at the beginning. I think we have two quarterbacks that are good enough to win with. Aaron Allen does an unbelievable job in the first two series of the game. I think it was a 15-play drive and an 11-play drive or a 10-play drive, takes us down the field and scores 10 points. I thought he did a great job. I thought Luke Anthony did a really good job. I mean, I think we have two quarterbacks that are capable of winning with. In the second half, Aaron had put the ball in danger. One of the things that we talk about is going to be a deciding factor for us as we come into this game. Luke Anthony will start, and they will both play. I mean, just like they both played last week, and then we will continue to evaluate as we go through the week and the preparation. But I like both our quarterbacks. I think we're going to need both our quarterbacks. We have two tailbacks and Justin Henderson and Izzy Tucker, and they both played. We needed three. I mean, Greg Gardner came in, and unbelievable contribution in this game. And so I kind of look at it the same way. I think they both did some good things. Luke missed some open receivers. Aaron put the ball in danger. They both have room for improvement, but we're going to continue forward with both of them.
Time for one more question. Anybody got anything? All right, Skip, you're off the hook. We appreciate you.
Well, after a game like that, I'm just excited that we're one game into the season, and I'm already looking for basketball season. I'm already looking forward to basketball season and watch somebody else go out there and make those difficult calls with no time left on the clock. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.